The Trump administration shifting its approach to the immigration crackdown in Minnesota following 2 deadly shootings that happened this month. President Trump sending border czar Tom Homan to meet with Governor Walz and Mayor Frey. Here's the president from Iowa yesterday.
Tom Homan is over there. We all love Tom.
Yeah.
And he met with the governor, met with the mayors. It's going very well. But remember this, even Minnesota, their crime is down.
Homan says talks were positive with both Governor Walz and the Minneapolis mayor, how to move forward with the operations. Mayor Frey posted this on X, quote, "My main ask is for Operation Metro Surge to end as quickly as possible. Public safety works best when it's built on community trust, not tactics that create fear or division." Meanwhile, President Trump defending DHS Secretary Kristy Noem, who is facing pushback, and even calls from both sides of the aisle to resign. Watch this.
I have, yeah. I think she's doing a very good job. The border is totally secure. We had a border that caused all of this problem. Biden caused, and the Democrats caused this problem.
Is Kristy Noem going to step down?
No.
Senator John Fetterman making a direct appeal to President Trump, posting this on X to, quote, "immediately fire Secretary Noem. She is betraying DHS's core mission and trashing your border security legacy." ICE Director Todd Lyons being summoned to federal court in Minnesota this Friday, threatened with contempt over what the judge says is repeated defiance of legal orders. Paul Moore, I want to get your reaction. You've been following this story so closely.
So when Tom Homan is your kinder, gentler approach, you know, you have to say to yourself, where are we on this thing? And I have to say, this looks to me like the immovable object and the irresistible force. The first metric that Donald Trump put in place here upon launching Homan to Minnesota was that you need to give up, Tim Walz, 1,300 prisoners that you hold in the city and the county jails who are deportable, who have been convicted for crimes and that you're holding. I just don't see that happening. What an optic that will be, because think about it. Unlike what was going on under Bovino, which were kind of hit-and-run tactics, they weren't telling the locals. This will be very choreographed, which means there will be all kinds of eyes on it. The people that you see out in the streets there in Minneapolis, if you think that they're going to stand by as there is a choreographed handover of 1,300 prisoners, plus over 400 that have already been released onto the street. That was the second metric. The third being when your cops arrest people that are deportable, they have to hand them over. I don't see any of that happening, and Frey is now signaling that. So I wish I could be more optimistic, but I don't think the drama in Minnesota is over.
Well, and it's only been one day. I mean, certainly you want to see we want Tom Homan to be successful. I think many want to see the rhetoric come down. You know, Jonathan Turley has an op-ed this morning out. It says Democrat politicians are risking lives with reckless anti-ICE rhetoric. He says Democrats are encouraging mobocracy in Minnesota. And then he also points... Mobocracy. That's what Jonathan Turley calls this, all the rhetoric that we've been seeing against ICE.
Agreed.
And then he also points out that Arizona Democrat Attorney General Chris Mays said she does not consider ICE officers. She says they're not real law enforcement. So, you know, she's even going further.
Yeah, that's insulting.
That type of rhetoric, you know, to his point, is what we continue to see.
They are sworn-in officers. That's irresponsible, and there's no place for that. One of the things about this whole story that really jumps out at me is protesters, like the nurse, the ICU nurse who was shot several days ago, shows up at a protest with a handgun. Approaches officers with a handgun. I mean, Paul, you're in the NYPD as an inspector. I mean, imagine if I walked up to you on the street with a handgun. I hate to think what you would do to me, and guess what? I would deserve it. I'm sorry. I would deserve, because why would I ever approach a police officer with a handgun?
But even the NRA is pushing back and saying, look, you know, this is the Second Amendment. I mean, this is your right to carry firearms. He had a license. He didn't have it on him, but, you know, this is part of the discussion.
And let me go to something that the NRA always stands with, and I agree, which is you have to carry legally. And it all has to be permitted, et cetera. They're always on. By the way, the NRA also understands that if people are mentally ill, and there's no indication of that in this case, that you shouldn't have handguns. The Second Amendment is not absolute. Let's recognize in Minnesota, if you're going to carry a handgun, you have to have your identification and your permit on you.
Yeah.
For whatever mysterious reason, he had no ID. So that's going to be part of the investigation. Look, the showing up to do what he did does not deserve a death sentence. We all agree on that. We got to get past past that. Of
Right.
course, that's the case. The investigation has to go forward. They're making progress now. They've identified 2 shooters. And so they're going to see from the law enforcement side. And so we're going to see what's on the phones, what's in the video, what's in the communications. We'll get a more fulsome picture soon.
Yeah, the Department of Homeland Security sent an some initial findings to Congress yesterday. That's what you're talking about,
Right,
that there were two
unlawful,
shooters
right.
of these enforcement officers. What do you make about these calls with Kristy Noem for her resignation? John Fetterman, a very strong statement from him yesterday. There are Republicans and Democrats that are saying that she has not handled this well.
I think that it is unlikely to happen. Let me just name check a few people. Pete Hegseth, Mike Waltz, Kesh Patel. All of them have faced demands that they have to step down and that Donald Trump has to fire them at various points. Very clearly, there's a pattern with Donald Trump that he doesn't like to be muscled into making personnel moves that he doesn't want to make. He seems to be supporting Noem very strongly. He's right. DHS has done a great job at the border. Maybe she is a little bit less high profile for a while. That would be what I see.
But you're right. The president did reaffirm his support for her yesterday in Iowa.